Morning, boys and girls. Today's class is going to be through YouTube. I have some issues, so I cannot be directly with you through Zoom. Remember to leave your comments so I can take the attendance. And I'm going to start sharing my screen so we can start with today's topic. Today's topic, others misplaced modifiers. I hope everybody can see our screen. And we begin today's topic, other misplaced modifiers. As you already know, modifiers describe, and we have adjectives and we have adverbs as modifiers. Adjectives modifying nouns and pronouns, and adverbs modifying verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. We already know too that we have phrases that act as adjectives and adverbs. These phrases are also modifiers. Today, we're going to talk about a little bit of them. Let's begin stating the law of proximity. What is the law of proximity? Well, it's a very simple law. It says that any modifier should be as close as possible to the word it modifies. Said in plain English, it has to be very close. It has to be adjacent. It has to be next to the word it modifies. Let's see the case of the prepositional phrases when they are misplaced. We already know that prepositional phrases are modifying phrases. They sometimes work as adjective, meaning that they will modify nouns and pronouns. Let's see the example. The dog in the car was barking. The prepositional phrase answers the question, which dog? Obviously, the dog that is inside the car, right? If you can see in the car, by law of proximity, is very close to dog. So it's very clear. Prepositional phrases can also work as adverbs, meaning that they can modify verbs, adjectives, or any other adverb. And let's see the example. David walked into the pool. The prepositional phrase answers the question, where did David walk? Well, obviously, into the pool. And as you can see, it's by law of proximity, close, next to, walked. Like any other modifying phrase, a prepositional phrase can be misplaced. Let's see this example. A physician, it was difficult for me to see such suffering. As a physician, it was difficult for me to see such suffering. You see, by law of proximity, physician is next to it. So by law of proximity, it should be modifying it. But it doesn't make sense, right? Why doesn't it make sense? Because it is a pronoun that refers to things or animals. And as we already know, a thing or an animal cannot become a physician. The prepositional phrase as a physician answers the question, what is my role? So it is modifying I. As I had said earlier, it's not modifying it. So we have to reword the sentence to make it right. And it would say, as a physician, I found it difficult to see such suffering. As you can see, by law of proximity, physician, it's next to I, because I is the pronoun modified by the prepositional phrase as a physician. We also have the appositives as modifiers. Just to remember, an appositive is a noun or a phrase that expands the meaning of another noun, that explains another noun, that gives more information of another noun. And a positive phrase is a noun phrase. Let's see the example. Franklin, the only one of us who own a car, agreed to give us all the game. The appositive phrase, the only one of us who own a car, is modifying Franklin. By law of proximity, they're close. It is obvious that the rest of us didn't have a car, that it was Franklin, the one that had a car. That's why he took us. And a positive must always be adjacent, close to, next to the noun it modifies. Always. No excuse. Let's look at this. A splendid example of late synthetic cubism. Picasso painted 3 musicians in the summer of 1924. Obviously, Picasso is no example of late synthetic cubism because Picasso is not a painting. Picasso is a painter. So the appositive phrase, a splendid example of late synthetic cubism, is an angling modifier. We don't know who it is modifying. It would sound much better if we reword our sentence in a different way. If we say, splendid example of late synthetic cubism, 3 musicians, was painted by Picasso in the summer of 1924, we know that 3 musicians, the painting, is being modified by the appositive phrase, a splendid example of late synthetic cubism. It has logic. By law of proximity, the appositive phrase and the noun it is describing are adjacent, close together, next to. It's also better if we say, Picasso painted 3 musicians, a splendid example of late cubism in the summer of 1924. Back again, by law of proximity, the appositive phrase is adjacent, close, next to 3 musicians. That is the painting that Picasso painted. The other modifiers are the infinitives. As you already know, an infinitive is the basic form of to plus a verb form. And they usually serve as nouns, as in, I love to chop. The infinitive to chop is the direct object of the verb love. I love what? To chop. But infinitives can also serve as adjectives. For example, we have a lot more math problems to do. What kind of problems do we have? Math problems, good. And what kind of math problems do we have? The ones to do. So it's modifying what kind of problems. And if you see by law of proximity, it is close to the word it modifies. And infinitives also serve as adverbs. We are working to earn money for the trip. To earn is the infinitive and answers the question, why are we working? Why are we working? To earn money. All right? Because infinitives are often modifiers, they can also be misplaced. Remember, we have always have very clearly in mind the law of proximity, meaning that all the modifiers, all the modifying phrases have to be very close, next to, or adjacent to the words they modify. It's wrong if we say, to get our attention, we saw Mr. Genovese take out a giant boa constrictor. The infinitive to get answers the question, why did he take it out? Why did he take the boa constrictor out? So, the phrase to get our attention should be close to the verb. And in this case, to get our attention is close to we. That's why it's incorrect. It's a dangling modifier. It should be close to the verb. And what's the verb? That it's modifying take, because it tells us, why did Mr. Genovese take the giant boa out? So we have to rearrange the sentence, and we can do it in different ways. Here we have two examples. To get our attention, Mr. Genovese took out a giant boa constrictor. See? It's close, it's not adjacent, it's not next to, but it's close. And it sounds better. We saw Mr. Genovese take out a giant boa constrictor to get our attention. Exactly the same thing. And it sounds a whole lot better. Now, let's work with the exercise. We have to label each underlined phrase as a prepositional phrase, as a participial phrase, as an appositive phrase, or as an infinitive phrase. This exercise will help you to spot modifier errors more easily. Once that we identify what phrase is in the sentence and what is the function of the phrase, obviously it's easier. Now, how are we going to do it? We're going to do it in a Word document. We will copy only the underlined phrase, and next to it, you will label it. Number one, my friend, the lawyer, told me that I should never sign any contract without first reading it carefully. Number one has two phrases. The first one, the lawyer. The lawyer is an appositive phrase, and it is modifying friend. And the second one, without first reading it carefully. And it is a prepositional phrase. Without first, why do we know it's a prepositional phrase? It begins with the preposition without. Remember, prepositions, we have to memorize them. Otherwise, we're in serious problems. And as I said, the lawyer is in a positive. Without first reading it carefully, it's a preposition. Second one, we should go to the meeting to see whether they need our help with the planning. Here we have three phrases. The first one, to the meeting. Since it begins with the preposition to, we know that it's a prepositional phrase. The second one, to see whether they need our help. Here, anybody can tell me, Mister, that is a prepositional phrase because it begins with to. And that would be a good analysis, but a bad answer. Why? Because if you see the next word after to is the verb see. And as I explained earlier, to plus the base form of the verb is the infinitive. So this one, to see whether they need our help, is an infinitive phrase. And the last one, with the planning. Like again, a prepositional phrase because it begins with the preposition with. So the best advice I can give you guys, go back and study again the most common prepositions in the English language. Many of you already know them. The only thing you have to remember them, and that is very easy. So here's the answer to number two. To the meeting is a preposition. To see whether they need our help is an infinitive. And with the planning is a preposition. There are only 9 sentences. 1 and 2 already done. you will do by yourself 8 and 9. Remember, in a Word document, you only write the title, Concept Review 8, page 534. I guess, let me check it out. Sorry, Concept Review 8, page 541. You write number 1, and you write the answers. Here are the answers already. Then you write number 2, and you write the answers. Here are the answers already. Then you write number 3, and so on and so forth. So finish concept review on your own on page 541. And before I leave, guys, I want to show you some pictures of the ones that you have sent. See, it's amazing how I see Cesar in the 3 pictures. One is of March 17, the other one March 23rd, the other one March 24th. I appreciate your work on Diego, Lorna, Pares, Henry, Rocio, all of you guys. All of you guys. I wrote it in Spanish because it sounds better in Spanish. Prueba de que cuando se quiere, se puede. I know that you can, guys. There's no need to go to internet to copy. There's no need to tell your classmate, pass me the homework to copy. You can do it. That's the best way we can learn. These weeks are not easy weeks. They have not been easy weeks for your parents. They have not been easy weeks for you guys. They have not been easy weeks for the teachers. This is complicated. It's going to get more complicated. You're supposed to go to university. I don't know how many are going to make it. And I'm not saying that you will not pass. I'm saying that the economical situation is complicated, that I don't know how many of you can afford begin studying this next period. The only good thing that we can do is get close to God, pray to God every single day. And just the way you are here in this pictures, working and doing and everything, keep it in the good practice every single day. Remember, you're important to many people. You're important to your parents. You're important to your brothers and sisters. You're important to the teachers. You're not just a number in my list. You're a human being to whom I dedicate time preparing my classes for you to achieve a little bit of what I know. I'm not perfect, but I tried the best. You're not perfect, and you should try the best. I want to finish with this this little poem written by D.H. Lawrence. D.H. Lawrence said, "I never saw a wild thing sorry for itself. A small bird will drop frozen dead from a bough without ever having felt sorry for itself." Wild things don't feel sorry for themselves. In this very moments, we have to act as wild things and not feel sorry for ourselves. We should never feel sorry for ourselves. We should be proud of who we are, of what we do, of how we do it. Feel proud of our families. Feel proud of our parents. Feel proud of our brothers and sisters. Feel proud of our teachers. Feel proud of our school. Feel proud of our classmates. Because that's the only way that we can succeed in life. Doing good things so that the others can feel proud of us. And boys and girls, I feel proud of you guys. So don't feel sorry about yourself. Have a nice day. Take care. Remember, I love you and I miss you all. When you see the video in YouTube, remember to leave the comments so that I can take the attendance, please. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.